today is designers designing. We're going to discuss the drops that we have at CFW. So yeah, just wanted to say also that today is our closing day, but technically it's not our closing act. Just to let everybody know, we're going to have one additional discussion tomorrow. I guess we can call it a bonus discussion. It'll be on Twitter Spaces. It will be hosted by our partners DressX. And we're going to continue the discussion about the drop and about the different designers and the work that they did for CFW 22. So we encourage you to tune in for that. If you go to Twitter and look up DressX, you'll find it saved in their reservations for Twitter Spaces. I believe it's 3 p.m. Central European, which I think would be 10 o'clock if I'm not mistaken Eastern. But please check that out online on Twitter. And just to also let you all know that the auction that we have on Foundation, which is still live, still available, a number of wonderful pieces, including one by our dear guest tonight that I'll introduce just in just a bit. Please feel free to go and log on and bid and participate in sort of this wonderful offering of digital fashion that we have. The auction is going to continue. And even though we are closing today, as I mentioned, we do have that panel discussion tomorrow, and we're continuing on also next week. We're going to come back and sort of offer you a special treat, a special little something that I won't say too much more about now, but look to hear a little bit more from us early next week. So that being said, again, thank you all for participating. Thank you all for following and supporting Crypto Fashion Week. I would like to introduce now two designers. Well, I shouldn't just call them two designers. I would say two multidisciplinary artists who we're really fortunate and excited to work with. Injury and Real Parent, representing Injury and Real Parent, we have Dan and Jean. They are based in Australia. I want to say Sydney, if I'm not mistaken. And they have participated in a number of ways. You will sort of see them making a number of interesting cameos in the context of CFW. Of course, you can see their designs walking in the main show. You can see an avatar that they built that's in our main fashion experience that they're going to talk a little bit more about, or I'll ask them to say a little bit more about. But they're also incredibly talented musicians. So if you've been able to watch our fashion experience, you can see the YouTube link in this very thread. If you check the shared links, they produced the music, they composed and produced the music track that we feature in this experience. And they are also involved in a few of those surprise elements that we're going to tell you a little bit more about next week. So all that just to say that we're really excited and really thankful that they're participating. And Dan and Eugene, welcome to CFW 22. It's great to finally hear your voices. It's so odd always to sort of work with so many people from all across the world without ever actually meeting them. So I'm happy to hear your voices, and I would love it if you could introduce yourself to the audience.
Hello, Greg. Thanks for having us. And I'm Eugene. So I am the creative director for the brand Injury, and also I'm part of the collective Real Parent as well.
Hi everyone, I'm Dan. I'm Eugene's partner, so I handle women's wear design in Injury. Thank you so much for having us today, Greg.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Let me ask you something, actually. If you could tell us a little bit more about the structure or the composition of Injury and Real Parent. You mentioned a collective. So is one organization or another more of a collective? Is one organization more than another dealing with fashion? Others dealing with other art forms? Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about how you're structured and how you collaborate across these structures.
So Injury is actually a fashion brand that me and Dan has been working on for many years. And for the past few years, we have a strong interest in 3D animation and building avatars with strong, like interest in 3D clothing as well, starting like 2017. And back then it was like pretty much like rocket science for us. So it's pretty difficult because we've been doing physical fashion for many years. So we started to learn more about like 3D clothing, building 3D models and building 3D avatars back in 2017. And we decided to start another collective that, pretty much like 100% just doing 3D stuff. So we started another collective called The Real Parent. And since I also have very strong interest in doing music as well, so we decided to have a collective that focus more on just doing art, 3D art, and making music. So so we have another partner in it's, when we start The Real Pen, we have another partner who are also working with us for this fashion week, and we have loosely a bunch of different other artists that work. Depends on the projects. We work with different people as well. So every time the collective sort of changes, depends on the project, but we always have like 3 major members in the collective, and that's Real Parent. And Injury continue to be more like a fashion brand, and Real Parent is like an art collective. So yeah, so this is what Real Parent and Injury is about.
Yep. Yeah, and maybe you can tell us a little bit more about the digital fashion space, the crypto space, the NFT space, and how you sort of entered that space, how you navigate that space. What were some of your early steps, and where did you find yourself, and where are you going with your efforts as connected to NFTs and digital fashion?
Dan can say more about this, maybe.
Yeah. So, yeah, as Eugene said, we've been doing like tangible clothing since 2004, which is a really, really long time ago. We started to look into the digital clothing realm since 3 or 4 years ago. We find it very fascinating to be able to create our own avatar model and to create digital fashion. Um, it is a very environment environmental friendly way to do samples, to get the lookbooks and to gain consensus before we actually produce the selected samples. And we also find it really fascinating that it can help with our storytelling for the brand and fulfill a lot of crazy ideas. So we are always very multidisciplinary. We like making films, we like making music, and doing all this in the digital environment makes a lot of sense to us.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about film actually, because that's the first thing that I saw from you guys. I think it was the Butterfly's Dream, if I'm not mistaken, which is
Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah, it's a wonderful fashion film that you made that's still available on your site. You're gonna have to give us your website link, or we'll be able to put that into the thread so people can see this film starring Real, which is one of the avatar characters that you've created. You've created a number of avatars. So maybe we can talk a little bit about film and how you approach that film, but how you sort of approach moving images, how you approach sort of putting your avatars in motion and bringing your works to life in this way.
So with the Butterfly Dreams, that's last year when we did the virtual film for a fashion show. At that time, we were invited to make a real runway show, but we decided to do it like a virtual film, like a CGI film kind of fashion presentation. Um, so when we start exploring, how to present our clothing in a digital way, at that time we sort of struggled to decide whether we make something more like an MTV, or something more like an avatar. actually walking a runway, a digital runway. But since we have made a few tracks at that time for Real Parent, and so we think it might be a good idea to try explore and rediscover what fashion film is about, and what, you know, when people expect to go to a fashion show to see runway shows with models walking out the runway, maybe it's a good idea to try represent this whole thing in a total different format. So we start off the film with the music. We start off with you know, imagining a story based on the music, and then we start building characters. So everything sort of start off with the music first, and also start off with also a theme as well. The music inspired us to think about you know, virtual. Maybe it's actually the format of the show is about the virtual world. So we started thinking about like the simulation theory, the virtual world, um, something like something cyberpunk kind of theme to start with, and then we start researching, you know, what this is all about and where the origins of like simulation theory, where the origins of like virtual reality, and we discovered this story, this Chinese ancient story about the butterfly dreams, and it's about a person dreaming. In his dream, he is a butterfly, and when he wakes up, he realized, you know, he's a human, and he starts to question whether which one is an illusion, whether the dream is an illusion, or whether being a human is an illusion, and if he's actually a butterfly. So we actually like this kind of concept. So we start building the story based on illusion, based on people questioning whether we're in the reality or where we're in the virtual world. So we start building everything based on this short story, and which is called Butterfly Dreams, and also the music. And we start designing the clothing based on the idea of hallucination, illusions. So we actually came up with a sort of like a story, a working kind of title, kind of story that basically just our own team will understand in the first place, which is about our avatar going into the club, and then maybe she took some chemical, took some drinks and got drunk, and then she start to imagine she's going into another world, and then she start to confuse whether she's in a hallucination world, or whether she escaped it and went into a digital world, or whether she is a real human or a digital human. So loosely, all this kind of things that connected with confusion and illusions and stuff like that becomes our major keywords and stuff when we build every single scene of the Butterfly Dreams. Yeah, so I think that's when we look back to how we did the film last year. I think this is part of the process and part of the experience. Is there anything to add then?
Yeah, and it was a really experimental way to do a fashion show at that time. I think it was the first ever CGI fashion show in Australia, and not a lot of people understand about this digital format of fashion show, but we did it, and we're quite proud of it, and we got lucky, and it was selected as some fashion film festivals, like the A Shaded View of Fashion Film, like Show Studio by Nick Knight, and also Fashion Film Festival Milano. So all these recognition gave us more confidence, and we feel like this is the best way for us to tell our story through a digital fashion film, to explain more about what sort of theme and thinking we have when we create the collection. And so we are going to do another one this year for Australian Fashion Week. It is going to be in May.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing about that. I'm looking forward to seeing what that's going to be. Yeah, you guys are doing really cool things. I mean, I love the storytelling elements of your work, how storytelling and narrative and characters are really important to your work. And yeah, I just really like what you guys are doing in that sense. How mythology sort of plays into the world. How world building seems really important also in terms of the work that you do. And this kind of transmedia element, I see all that in your work. It's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Maybe go ahead.
Um, yeah, I also want to talk a little bit about the NFTs that we created. So when we create the NFT artworks, they are always audio visual animations. We want to have this interrelationship between the NFT artworks and the butterfly stream and some other animation that we do for create for injury universe. So we come up with this simultaneous narrative component. So which means that when you see an artwork elsewhere, for example, one of our NFTs were listed on this Australian NFT agency Culture Vault. We created 4 pieces on their website that are for sale at the moment. So we pick elements from the butterfly stream and expand it into an individual artwork that you can perceive individually as an artwork, but at the same time, if you look closely, you will discover the untold stories in the butterfly stream. So we want people to like treasure hunt when they see different works appearing in different platforms, and ultimately, if they look closely, they will understand the bigger story and the bigger universe. So we find it a very interesting way to create as well, and it that the process itself is very inspiring to us.
Yeah, that's really great to hear. Maybe we can stay with what you just mentioned in terms of NFTs and the artwork that you do, that you sort of connect with these NFTs. Let's talk about what you have on offer at CFW22 and the collection that's available on Foundation app. That link is also available in our thread here on our channel for anybody that wants to scroll through the shared links. And you'll be able to see this auction. You'll be able to see that the Metawave boots by Injury Real Parent was actually one of the first things that sold from the auction. So people were excited about that from the beginning. We were really, really excited also to see that. Maybe talk a little bit first about the Metawave boots and what those represent in terms of, again, sort of this larger narrative that you're building, but also in terms of what you're expressing about materials and materiality and just sort of ways of movement and identity and all that stuff. What can you tell us more about the Metawave boots?
Um, yeah. So so the theme of crypto fashion this time is about ocean, it's about the sea, it's about the love of ocean. So we're actually quite inspired by the idea of the love of the ocean, the sea, and inspired by the mother nature. Um, so when we designed the boots, actually when we designed the whole outfit, we keep thinking about the ocean. We keep thinking about the nature and materials that come from the nature. Um, so we pick something. We like to create something that represent nature in a sense, both visually and the way it transforms as well. Um, so if you look at the metal boots and the gown as well, but look closer into the metal boots, the shape and form of the metal boots actually um, resembles and signifies resembles a lot to water and air as well. Um, and its reflective surface also reflects the beauty of the environment as well. So this is something that we keep having in mind, is to um, make the boots and the clothing um, having this kind of transformative and fluid kind of forms, and also um, helps people think about how beauty something the nature offers to us. Um, then sometimes it's very, it can be something really simple and basic. It's air and water can give us a lot of strength and beauty, and the versatile kind of movements as well. So, and the Meta Boots is about the boots that offer to the athlete to fly, or offers to us to, when we wear the boots, we can fly in the air. So I think all this, materials and shapes and forms help us imagine, the boots can actually make us fly in the air and walk on water as well. So I think this is sort of our inspiration in how we compose the design. Dan, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I also want to add, when we create the gown, so we emphasize on how it is transformative all the time. So it actually turns from like a bubbly top and then to a dressed gown and then back to the top. So it's also inspired by the continuous movement and the swaying motion of the ocean waves. Um, and then when the gown becomes the top again, it hugs the person that wears it, and then I think that is a very beautiful thing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for those details and the explanation. And then, so you can obviously see the MetaWave boots and also the Meta Spoon gown, which is also on offer as a rare one of one NFT on our collection site on Foundation. And what goes along with these NFTs and these digital fashion pieces is a special engineered sort of AR look by our partners DressX. So the collectors, the buyers of these NFTs will be able to sort of exclusively wear these looks in the DressX app in augmented reality. So the way you're able to redeem that is to follow the Discord link that we have on our Foundation app collection page. And for those that are lucky enough to have collected those, they'll be able to wear the looks in AR. And for the Meta Wave boots, I was really excited to see that. One of the things I like about the space is artists supporting other artists, artists collecting other artists, artists curating other artists, whatever it might be. So I was really happy to see that or to learn, I should say, that the Meta Wave boots was actually collected by Talia Zoref and the Eyes of Fashion investment fund that she set up as part of her sort of illustration project in relation to digital fashion. So she was really struck by the boots. We had Talia in one of our panel discussions a few days ago. You're going to be able to listen to that if you go to our YouTube channel and dig through our archive of recorded panels. And yeah, her fund and her DAO were the ones behind collecting the Meta Wave boots. So sending some love Talia's way. So yeah, go ahead.
No, I just want to say thank you to Italia.
Thank you to Talia, and yeah, looking forward to see who's going to be the lucky one that's going to snap up the gown and be able to wear that in AR. So yeah, I mean, maybe you can talk a little bit more about AR and sort of your experience working with AR. Is this sort of a new format for you? Do you like the possibilities, creative or otherwise, that it unlocks for you? What do you think about augmented reality with digital fashion?
Since we released our first digital collection last year with the release of the Butterfly Stream fashion film, we were working with DressX as well. But at that time, we were focusing on metawear. So what happens is the clients can pick their outfit and then upload their own photo, and then DressX will apply the digital clothing on their photo. At that time, it was a really, really interesting way for people to buy digital fashion and express themselves in social media, and to experiment in a lot of crazy fashion accessories and avant-garde wear. So we worked with DressX since last year, and a lot of people really like the idea. So we still create physical fashion and clothing, but at the same time, we really like how the digital clothing is applying in our business, and this augmented reality is another big step up. And I just saw what Dress's been doing for us for our outfits for the metal swim gown and the metal waves boots. They look super amazing, and I think with the AR application, a lot of people can just try without trying, I guess, and it will be a very major thing in digital fashion in the coming years, I'm sure. And I really look forward to see more people trying on AR fashion and buying them as part of the collection. I think this is a really fascinating thing that Dress has developed.
Yeah, and we can also talk about utility a little bit more because yes, for AR, it sort of offers you a hybrid option, I guess. Uh, Maybe we can talk a little bit also about avatars, just sort of come back to avatars and avatars being able to be customized and outfitted in different garments. What do you see or what do you look forward to in terms of the use of avatars and the idea of dressing avatars and being able to sort of inhabit personalities, whether it's your own personality or someone constructed like real? What do you what's the difference for you in dressing an avatar versus dressing someone in augmented reality?
I think dressing an avatar is, in a lot of ways, very similar to dressing real human beings. Um, and I think the development of our avatar is sort of like a very interesting experience as well. So when we talk about avatar, it always goes back to when I talk about when we first started to enter the digital fashion or digital clothing world. That was like 2017. So back at that time, we are pretty new to the idea of avatar. At that time, we were asked to curate a fashion event to promote designers, and we at that time the event is all about physical fashion show, but we want to bring something surprising for the audience to see. So we built an avatar back then. That was 2017. We built an avatar without knowing anything about how to build an avatar. It was an amazing experience, and it was very interesting that we see some form of digital human dressing, fashion clothing, and that's what grabbed our attention and grabbed our interest to start off and start a collective to totally dive into the idea of making 3D clothing and making avatars. And I think the amazing thing about avatars is it doesn't have to look exactly like real human beings. It can be whatever we picture a digital human can be. And for us, we always liked something in between. We always like something that looks like animation, looks like cartoony, looks like a Japanese animation kind of character as kind of aesthetics, and also looks like real human as well. So we always been exploring how to create an avatar that have the best of both worlds, instead of just making an avatar that looks exactly like real humans. I think when we build an avatar, somehow we want the avatar to express the kind of human soul that we want the avatar to be, but also keeping it in the digital world. We want to make the avatar less like human as well. So we can imagine the avatar to be like a sci-fi characters. She can fly in the air, and she can walk on water, and she can change, sometimes change her facial texture and hair color instantly. Like having the superpower of just changing herself and transforming all the time. So the avatar gave us the freedom to keep imagining and thinking, and also bridging the digital world with the physical world as well. So yeah, I think that's my experience about building the avatar. And yeah, so Dan, do you have anything to add? What's your experience?
Yeah, the great thing about living your digital lives is that we can do multiple ways. So we can do just like a digital twin of yourself, but also do a completely different person, and we can do it all together simultaneously. We don't even have to pick, and that's the great thing about creating things digital. You have unlimited options.
Yeah, you do. And maybe we can go the other direction, though. I kind of want to come back to IRL situations. Um, so you mentioned before that you're involved with the fashion weeks in Australia. Obviously, there's a lot of fashion weeks, a lot of places, both online and offline. I would be curious to know, to hear from you a little bit more about what the scene is like in Australia. And that could be the IRL scene in terms of what you see happening there that excites you, or it could be the digital fashion scene. What's happening that we don't know in Australia? Is there sort of a movement burgeoning? Is there sort of a unique aesthetic that's coming out that we should know about? What are the things that excite you about Australian fashion weeks and just sort of the scene there in general?
Dan can talk more about that.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Um, so in Australia, in case people don't know much about Australian Fashion Week, we have one fashion week per year. So it happens usually in April or May in Sydney. And so since we only have one fashion week per year, it is a very flexible season. So people can do either winter or summer or transseasonal or seasonless. So that's what we're doing. So everyone is very flexible about the season here. And the organizer, IMG, has been doing this fashion week for many, many years. And we've been with them for like 18 years or so. And I can see that they have a very strong vision of going digital as well. So obviously the physical show is very strong, and they're going to keep doing it. But since last year with the pandemic, they decided to launch this global platform online. So in addition to the physical show, they will do a digital showcase as well, and on their global platform. The good thing about IMG is that they are very international. They have database in US, in many places in the world, and with our digital show that showcase on their website, they have like millions of viewers online. And I think this is a really great way to expand the dimension of a physical show. So when you put it on digital, and with there's such a big database, the reaching out for the digital film is much bigger. And I can see that most people more and more eager to do digital fashion shows. From last year experience, I think there were about 8 designers doing the digital only fashion show. But I think from this year onwards, it will be a lot more digital listing. And I think they're also looking into creating avatars and NFTs, fashion NFTs as well. So I'll be also very excited to see what they're thinking for the future fashion weeks. But I really like the direction so far.
Cool. Yeah, it's nice to get a little insight to see what's happening there. So I wanted to actually come back to CFW 22, to our show, but I also wanted to give an opportunity for anybody that's in the audience to participate if anyone wants to ask questions. We do have our dear colleague and friend and the brilliant creative director of CFW, Jan. She's in the audience. I don't know if you wanted to say anything or maybe introduce yourself.
Hi guys, this is Young. Hi Dan. Hi Eugene. One of my favorite participants of TSW. We are really glad to have you guys possible. I want to highlight Eugene's music for the fashion film. I want everyone to know how the music really brought up the fashion film, and you did really brilliant work, Eugene. Thank you again.
Thank you, Yon. Thank you for having me. It was an amazing experience. It was an amazing experience doing the music and the CG and the whole thing, just very, very amazing. It looks so good. You guys are genius.
And speaking of the music, yeah, I want to ask, how was it? Because it wasn't like you guys created a film on your side. You kind of more provide the music, and we did a collaboration. How did it feel like? How was it? Like, I'm curious.
Sorry, you mean the? Sorry, can you repeat that again? The.
Yeah. So I was asking, because when you create the film on your in-house, this, I think I'm expecting this time was different from you guys creating Butterfly Dream, because it was more used provide music to other team, and then we kind of brought up something. And I'm curious how you felt the type of collaboration. Was it better than your expectation, or was it or was it fun because you cannot expect it, or I'm just curious in general, how was it for you?
Oh yeah, for like the experience for creating the music was like very good. It was actually how should I describe it? I was very excited when I was invited to make the music. Actually, the first thing I did was I watched the show from you guys last year, the Met Gala, and I really like the music. I really admired the music and how the music and the video goes together last time in the Met Gala, um, and actually I sort of questioning myself, can I make something as good as that this time for the fashion show this time? So I I've sort of keep how should I say that? I think I overstressed myself at first because I think last year was so good. So I keep researching about how to make something new, because usually when I make music for my own show, my show is always a little bit kind of more heavier kind of music, slightly darker. But I know the Crypto Fashion Week, it's more, when I get the brief from you, it's more like we need to make something calm and peaceful, and also I think the theme of this time is also about being really positive and calm and meditative as well. But it's also is a fashion show. It has to be a little bit upbeat. So when I the first thing I did was I searched for sounds, and I tried to find some sounds that actually relates to the ocean, and also relates to try to mimic the oceans and the sea, and the noises you can hear when you're under the water, and also how it feels like to stand above water and with the sun shining on you. And so I think it's very abstract. I think the whole thing. So I think I take so much time searching for the sound first, and then I try composing. And usually I write a melody and write the chords and all that stuff first before I finishing off before I do the arrangement and all that. But this time it's more about sound, and then I have to write something more simple, more subtle, and then try to build on that to complete the whole thing. And I keep having in mind how the model is gonna come out and walk as well. So I think the whole experience is actually very different to how I make music before, for my show and for Real Parent or for Injury. So it's actually very, very, very amazing experience, because I think it ends up I built something that I haven't done before, and it's so good working with you guys as well, because I can have some really good feedback, and then I can do another drop, and then you guys give me feedback again, and the whole thing just went so smooth and so easy, and I really enjoy that.
Yeah, it was really great working with you guys on the. I love personally getting Jan and you together, and just sort of watching the magic happen. You guys really, you were just really on the same wavelength, and it was really cool to see. But let me also ask you, Eugene and Dan, how did you feel? So from your perspective as fashion designers, when you saw the finished show, and all of your colleagues and fellow designers that were in the show, just I'd be curious to hear some of your first reactions to the designs that you saw. Was it something you were expecting? Did people shock you, surprise you? What were some of your initial just pure reactions to what you saw?
Oh, I was super excited. I think it was midnight at our time, and then we were about to take a rest, and then I saw, oh, it's live, and then I was playing together on our big screen, and then we were like, oh, this is so cool. We're literally screaming, and I think Yon did a great job, and with the music going, the whole thing is so cool, and I really love everyone's designs, all the avatars. Some of them look super real, and I think this is just so amazing. And then I just keep sharing the link to my team and everybody I know, and then we just keep watching it for 10 times.
Yes, it was so good. It was so amazing. I think we watched 10 times straight away when we
Yeah, we
see
did.
the video. Yeah, it was so good, and it's I think it surprises me as well. How everything just looks so amazing together, and I see a lot of new designs that I didn't expect. Like, it's really exciting to see other designers' clothing, and how digital fashion can be something like this. The different possibilities, and um, um, how people approach this idea of digital fashion actually surprised me as well. All these new ideas in that 5-minute video. It's got so many full of ideas, full of possibilities and ideas that are new to me. That I didn't expect. So I think it's a lot of surprises as well to see other people's work, and all these possibilities.
Especially with the ending, because we kind of know what's going to happen in the story because we were working on the music, but when we actually see the start of the film and the ending of the film, it is really beautiful. And yeah, Johan, you are great.
Yeah, Yohan is
Thank
amazing.
you.
Yeah, so amazing. Yeah.
She's a star, but no, you guys are all stars, because I think the
Yeah.
it was great because you guys, we have so many great artists. I'm just really proud and happy to say. And Dan and Eugene, your fingerprints are all over it in terms of your beautiful design and in terms of your music, in terms of your spirit, and then just sort of this vibe that you have with Jan. So yeah, it's really exciting also for me to see it all come together. There's nothing like that first charge and that first jolt you get when you see the finished product. So yeah, it's really exciting for us too, believe me. Very
Thank you.
exciting. Yeah. So I don't know, just wanted to open up one more time if anyone wanted to jump in with a question or a comment or thoughts.
I have one question.
Yeah,
I cannot sleep if I cannot solve this. I'm so curious. I have one question that I'm dying to know.
Mhm.
It is about Ryu. Please tell me about her. Like, um, she's the muse of your friend, am I right? Or and I'm curious, like, who is she? Like, I definitely can see she is um having important part of the narrative of your brand, and this time also really, really take the moment of the fashion show. She was like sincere. She was really cool, and I'm really curious to know who is she. Please let me know.
Dan, you can talk more about that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so Real is actually the representative of Real Parent. So she is the main character. She is the artist. She's one of us. And of course, she is the muse of Injury when we create digital fashion. Real has a lot of different roles in existing in our Injury universe. Um, I will show you more of our other artworks later, but actually, Real is going on metamorphosis kind of transformation. So in some artworks, she exists like a half human, half butterfly, and in some artworks, she is flying with the boots. And in some unreleased work, she is working underground as some kind of human support. So there are a lot of roles that Real is actually doing. But yes, she is our muse and she's always our model. And she is a creative artist in our perspective.
Yeah, I think she doesn't relate to any real in the physical world, any IRL characters. She's purely only exists in the digital at the moment. I think the interesting part is when we developed the avatar throughout the past few years. She has transformed it and went through so many phases, and her face changes so many times. And the very, very interesting part is when we start building the avatar, we can't see any soul in her back in a few years ago. She's more just a digital mannequin back then when we first start off building the avatar. But after we gone through like a few years of transforming her and working with her facial gesture and try to animate her, how her eyes would blink and all that stuff, and dressing her up and building all these artworks with her, we start to feel that she is alive. We start having this feeling that she's kind of alive, and I think that part of the experience is actually very, very, very interesting. I didn't expect, like when I start building an avatar in the digital world, she will kind of we can really give her some kind of life after a few years. This is something that surprises me because I always think, building an avatar is more like building a digital model, unless I actually base her on a real human. I think she's always a mannequin. But after building her for like transforming and keep building and keep developing this avatar for a few years, we start to have a relationship kind of with this character. and we start to see she's getting more and more alive, and I think that's the very interesting part of it.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, it's also interesting to know that. So I'm looking at the real parent Instagram now, and I also see the pink hair character, and she's also real. Am I correct?
Yeah, She actually this
Oh.
blue hair for your show.
Yeah, I mean the pink ponytail hair, the one with the sci-fi kind of looking is also real. Am I correct?
Yeah.
No?
Yes, yes.
Oh, I see. So she was like, so she became like kind of transformative, like, and then now she kind of arrived at her, not a final form, but some fixed form. I'm understanding, and I'm also curious, like, for example, when we building our muse, like I think there is always certain thing that we want to present, like either how do you want viewers to see real as a individual, like do you guys want viewers to remember real as a like strong woman, or is it like a more mystery individual? Like I'm curious, like when you guys create real, like what type of visual, what type of um, stories like people will imagine of.
Dan, do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, sure. So when we create this character, our theme is very inspired by the ACG, anime, comic, and gaming subculture. So we are fascinated by Japanese comic and manga, and we want Ryu to look sort of with a human soul, but in her face, in her gesture, we want her to look more like a manga character. So we think that the world is going to build all the digital humans more and more realistic. We kind of want to grab this moment that the manga kind of ACG characters is still like resonate with yourself, and still make connection to human at this moment. So we emphasize on that. So yeah, we look at a lot of Japanese animation when we create this character. So if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, I think Rio, the character is it's sort of like a strong character, like a strong woman, but in a subtle way. And so I think that's something that we picked up from a lot of Japanese animation and Japanese cartoon and manga. The characters is it's kind of like this. Is even if they are like very very strong kind of women kind of characters, they do it in a subtle way. I think that's one thing that we picked up. Is that right, Dan? What do you think?
Yeah, a very strong spirit, but still looks very friendly and down to earth, I guess.
yeah. I think that's the best way to describe it. So it's kind of strong women, but in a sort of subtle way, like what you said then. Yeah. And what else? When we designed the avatar, in terms of like the characters, do you remember what we did? I think that's one thing. Yeah, a strong lady, but also in a kind of subtle way, with strong spirit, but still like kind of soft as well. What else? What else did we?
I think we didn't want her to be too like typical model looking. Because when we're doing a fashion brand, people expect like model, but we didn't want that. So she has a very friendly vibe.
Yeah. Down to earth in a sense, but also, you know, she can be a model, but she can be someone around you as well. Like relates more engaging to usual. I don't know how to describe that, but more engaging, I guess. And also, I think we don't want her to look like, because when we talk about Japanese animation or sci-fi, and when it relates to our brand and real parent and injury all the time, it's, if you look at our works, it's always about some kind of sci-fi kind of story, but we don't want the character to looks like a warrior. We don't want her to have this kind of characteristics. We don't want her to look like warriors or you know, very strong on the outlook. We want her to look like want her to look softer, like normal human. But when we dress her up into armor and stuff, she becomes like a warrior. But when we dress her up in like fashion clothing or like day-to-day wear, she becomes like normal human again. I think that's also another thing we're trying to balance as well. Yeah. What else? Is there anything I missed?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much sums up
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, she really stands out in the show. It's I think it's everything you said. You can feel the ACG sort of, I guess, roots or the genealogy, but also it does feel there's something very regal also about her. Real could be sort of regal, I guess, another name. And it's just a really powerful entrance that she makes into the show, and the way that she commands it, the way you both have animated her and sort of brought her to life, the way she walks with the boots. It's just, it's really one of the highlights. I think it's really one of the special treats in the whole fashion show. So yeah, are there any other questions? Yeah, of course, you're welcome. Any other questions or thoughts for our dear friends? I'm mindful of time only because I know we're torturing you guys with this horrible time difference. It's so hard to gather people when you're working in a decentralized manner. We're working across 3 different continents minimum at any given time. So we really appreciate you guys making time and sort of you know, fitting into the panel schedule. It's really kind of you.
You're
welcome.
welcome. It's my pleasure.
I have other question too. This is
Go ahead.
I think this question also Greg would also know too, which is, please explain us about women. Like, who is he? Why is he like dangling behind? Like, yeah, please let us know.
Oh yeah, we forgot to talk about the Vitruvian man.
The Vitruvian man, the Vitruvian man.
The bodyguard.
Vitruvian man, the bodyguard. We forgot to talk about that. The Vitruvian man, we have that in last year when we did our first CGI film. We have that in there. There's like probably like a couple of hundred something in there, and I think it fits with the theme of crypto fashion week this time, with the ocean thing as well, because the Vitruvian man is about human connect with nature. That's what the Vitruvian man is about. So I think that exactly fits with the theme of crypto fashion week this time. So we put the bodyguard there as well. So it sort of signifies the idea of like connecting human to nature and the Mother Earth and stuff like that. And we made him a punk man. So I think that's the thing we did to the Vitruvian man. I'm not sure if you guys noticed that we actually made him a punk man. We like him. We loved him. It's always good to have the bodyguard next to Rio.
I noticed it. I didn't notice he was a punk, but I noticed there was something there that I just couldn't put my finger on. What is this Vitruvian man? I love it so much that you say you made him punk. I mean, I love when I first saw the design and I first saw the avatars and I saw this man. I was like, oh my God, what this is like a totally surreal and unexpected moment for me. I didn't know, is this a servant? Is this a helper? Is this a bodyguard? Is this some sort of projection from her mind? Like what I was just, yeah, it's really one of my favorite elements. And I really just love the surreal play that you guys have. Again, your storytelling, the way you kind of sort of feed or sort of weave these thematics in and out of your designs. So I love the punk Vitruvian man deserves his own comic book. I mean, literally.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, I think so
Yeah.
too. Yeah. So yeah, the story about how he become like a punk man and having this mohawk kind of
Yeah,
yeah, can,
And
yeah, it
living a
can be
punk
another story.
life.
that's right. Living the punk life
Yeah,
in this circle. No, it's great. Um, yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Jan. I wasn't going to answer it. I was happy with the mystery. Sometimes I just like to be mystified, and sometimes I want things explained to me, and sometimes I don't. So thank you for asking because I wasn't going to ask.
Ah, really? But I cannot sleep without not knowing that.
No, no,
so
no.
yeah. So
So
what do you think you're on when you first see the featuring man?
But what I thought about it?
Yeah,
Uh,
how do you feel when you first saw this
oh,
this thing?
I thought I feel very pity of him. I don't know who is he, but he was he was like he was like back there and then dangling, and I feel very pity of him. And then I actually don't know the visual symbol of it. Like I mean, I Lady Phoenix tell me about it, but at the time I didn't know like what this um because it's like symbol. It's already symbol that people know, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you
Yeah.
guys
yeah,
change the hair into the punk hair. So I didn't know the symbol at the time. So I was just
yeah.
thinking that really thought that a man is like captivated in the ring, which I which I felt very pity
Like a
of it.
poor guy, like a some like real captured him, you think?
Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah. I didn't read the like I couldn't read the symbol at that time, so I was really thinking there's like a man like dangling with the ring. So I was really thinking very pity of him.
Oh my
And
god.
then
Oh.
but
yeah.
that's
Yeah,
because that's my ignorance, so it's okay. People must read it, but I that was my first reaction, and then I also thought when I put this when I put real on the scene because of the ring, I think it really made the walk more interesting because um, there is something like surrounding the character. So in terms of the scene wise, I think he did brilliant job.
yeah. Thank you. Thanks so much.
yeah, I only wish we would have minted him as one of the accessories. It would have been great if
Oh.
offered
Yeah,
but to be continued, right? You guys are doing this sort of world building and these transmedia escapades. So I have a feeling that if there's enough demand, we might see something special for the Vitruvian punk.
I
yeah,
think
definitely.
he deserves a whole series.
He deserves a whole
Yeah,
series. Yeah, I'm curious. I'm definitely curious. Okay, so we do have yeah, just again, we're mindful of the time, and just to remind everyone about the CFW 22 collection in partnership with DressX. That's available on Foundation. We're on the front page on Foundation, the homepage, in the featured section, so you can find us there, but you can also easily find us through the website, through our website, cryptofashionweek.xyz. Go there, check out everything that all these brilliant artists and designers are doing, and collect their work, wear their looks in AR. and we are going to continue sort of the echoes of Crypto Fashion Week with another discussion that we have tomorrow with our colleagues from DressX, and I believe Dan, Eugene, you will also be present for that. Lady Phoenix should be present for that. And just to thank you once again for your time, for your vision, and your fluency with multiple art forms, your flexibility, and being just joys to work with. I'm definitely excited and looking forward to doing something else with you both at some point in time. It would be really, really amazing. So thank you once again.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Greg.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.
Okay, and thank you all for following Crypto Fashion Week 22. Stay tuned for what we have coming up next. And yeah, just be well, everyone. Take care.
Yeah, take care.
Take care.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.